What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What's going on, everyone? I hope everyone is doing extremely well. So it is officially my turn to host Mets Weekly, and I am extremely honored to have all these great people. We will have one more person joining us later in the stream. So, yeah, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope everyone is doing extremely well. Not the nicest day in terms of the weather, kind of a cruddy day, but it's always a great day to have a Mets YouTube video or a Mets stream going on. But please, everyone, before we get started, give this video a like, give it a comment, subscribe to all the channels. And I guess let's stop wasting any time and let's get into the introduction. So, Mets fan, go at it.
All right. Well, I'm a Mets fan. I make baseball videos that have the nerd numbers in them. Just recently uploaded a video regarding the Mets killers of their franchise featuring one of the guys below me, Frank About Sports, and also Tony Metro, who will be joining us later. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, that'd be awesome. It was a blast to put together. It was really fun. You also can see me catch some of the live streams that I do with one of my guys, Hayward Stan, another analytical guy. We do power rankings for each position, kind of like on a monthly rotation. But yeah, other than that, let's go Mets, man.
Yes, sir. Andrew.
What's going on, guys? Andrew Estevator here back. Another Mets Weekly. Again, mostly Mets content. We'll have an Adam Frazier video rumor out after the streams at some time. Who knows when that will be up, but that'll be up after tonight's stream. Always a pleasure to hang out with you guys and talk about the team that we somehow chose to choose to cheer for.
Listen, we have it for a reason. Frank.
Frank About Sports, as you see on the screen, the space in between each word. Used to make live streams and things like that, but the second half resurgence is coming. The videos will be back. Trade deadline season is going to be a lot of good stuff to talk about, and I'll just be posting more. So be on the lookout, Frank About Sports.
All right, and Elias, Big Apple Baseball Banter.
Yeah, my name's Elias on a show called Big Apple Baseball Banter. Pretty much the complete opposite of Mets fans content, complete low quality. We just have viewers come on and give us their takes. Wednesday, 6:00 p.m. Eastern. Every week, call into my show. I want to hear your guys' takes. You can be a Mets fan. You don't even have to be a Mets fan. Want to hear takes, and let's talk some baseball. So Big Apple Baseball Banter is the channel. Hope to see you guys there. I think I'm 7 away from 100, trying to get there before the All-Star break. So I'd much appreciate you guys. Get me to 100 before the All-Star break.
All right, yeah, that you heard him. Get him to 100 before the All-Star break. That is the goal. If that happens, if we get new subscribers, the Mets will win the World Series.
I am raising my hand right now. Tonight's game has been postponed. Tomorrow will be made up in a single mission doubleheader at 4 p.m. on Saturday.
No, that means more of us. That means you guys get to listen to more of us. So that means something.
Either a good or bad thing, but
well, I think it's a good thing. I think
that's it. Oh man,
cancel the season. The season's over.
Boys. Season's over. Third place team.
Season's over. Third place team. Yeah. All right. So that was kind of an unfortunate news thing. Not really surprising. The weather has been very, very cruddy these last couple of days. But I guess let's not waste any time and let's get into all these topics. I would like to point out it should be pinned in the chat. It is pinned. If you guys would like. Drop some questions in those below. I believe it is a Google Doc. I don't know if you need an account or not. I don't think you should. Just type in your name and type in the question, and we will hopefully be going over all of them at the end of this stream. So any questions, whether it's Mets related, baseball, it could be Mets, Yankees. I mean, baseball's baseball. So drop those below. But quickly, getting into all the topics, we have a ton of great topics today, so let's stop wasting any time. Currently, the New York Mets still are in first place in the NL East. And, I mean, it's very surprising. I remember before the season started, what was it, the Pacoda rankings had the Phillies in fourth, the Braves in fourth place, and, they're in third and we're in first. So it seems weird. But currently, the Mets are 45 and 38. So they're the only team above 500. So I mean, just the fact is what this team is doing with itself right now is just really amazing. So yeah, I mean, if you guys, we can go over what we're thinking of the Mets, but I guess talking one guy who is coming back from the IL is Michael Conforto. He's been having a little slump, so let's get into that. Mets fan, what are you feeling on Michael Conforto? Bring us some of that numbers stuff that I'm not interested, but maybe the people at home.
Yeah, I mean, I believe every person, including people who don't really see that well, can really like just know that Conforto he just looks completely lost out there since coming off the IL. But with that being said, Conforto has been still a well-productive offensive player this year. The walks are up, the strikeouts are down, his chase rate is at a career low. I know it's frustrating to see Conforto play like this, but I'm here to tell you right now, there's really nothing to worry about with him right now. This is just the same panic button that people were pressing with Francisco Lindor. I understand that Mets Twitter already rage DFA'd Conforto, but he's a proven player, okay? And listen, if he's not clutch enough for you, then you can wander into the forest where that shit belongs. The forest of make-believe.
All right, Andrew, what are you feeling about Conforto? What are you feeling about the slump? Do you think he'll get out of it? What's your takes?
Yeah, I mean, again, we all want the results, and he's just had his ABs are just bad. He, again, like Mets fan says, he's just lost. He's late on fastballs. He's not picking up any off-speed pitches. He hit a fly ball to center, and like that's the best swing he had, and he just missed the fastball into center field. But it's Michael Conforto. If Mets fans know, he's gonna get hot, and you know he will. I don't know if it'll be for 2 weeks, it'll be a month, or maybe it's the whole second half. Who knows? But we all know Michael Conforto is a streaky hitter. It's been throughout his whole career. He goes very hot and he goes very cold. Of course, you would like more of a middle ground where like at least be some kind of consistent. But again, we know he'll turn it around eventually. Again, when will it happen? Maybe it's after the All-Star break. Maybe he just needs those 3 days off, takes the break off, and he comes back firing in the second half.
Yeah, of course. Frank.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is mental. I think that being in the contract year that is weighing on his mind with Scott Boras as the client, he wants a high asking price for Michael Conforto that he has to try to live up to. So I think he's putting additional pressure on himself, which is probably unnecessary, especially in New York. As I said, the Twitter, the people of the world saying, get rid of Conforto, get Joey Gallo, people like that. It's making it tougher on Michael, no doubt about it. So what I think has to happen is just that he really needs to get back to what he has been with the Mets. I mean, you look at 2020, he was so good. It looked like he finally figured it out because, like Andrew said, we've seen the hot stretches, we've seen the cold stretches. But what I liked about Michael so much last year was his ability to use the opposite field, not taking home run swings. He was half swinging a lot, but he was getting blue hits, and he was just getting RBIs. And that's where Michael has really struggled the most in my eyes, that when you have runners on, I mean, he had a double play yesterday, so he's had a tough time driving in runs, and that's what they need him to do in this lineup. He's not going to lead off. He's not going to bat second. He needs to be a guy that gets RBIs, and he hasn't done that lately, but his hot streak will come, and if you could get a nice 60-game stretch out of him to close out the year, put the division away, and we've seen Michael Conforto do well in the postseason before, that's really all you have to hope for, and I just hope that Michael does eventually figure it out. Whatever is mentally bothering him right now, he can kind of put that to the side. So I do hope that he could get it going as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Elias.
Yeah, a lot of it's been said already, but yeah, he's been dreadful of late, and it seems to happen to him very often. He's pretty streaky. I mean, he'll get really hot, he'll get cold sometimes too, and his numbers turn out very good at the end of the year. I remember 2019, he had some rough stretches. I remember that game against the Yankees with James Paxton on the mound at Citi Field. I think he grounded into 2 double plays, and everyone's just screaming at the computer. And then later in the year, he gets hot, and you can't get this guy out. 2020, I thought he showed such good signs, just not, like Frank said, not doing home run swings, not all or nothing, going the other way. Like, watching this guy ground out to second base every at-bat now, it's just like, dude, go the other way. Just do something different. He's late on pitches, like Andrew said. It's rough to watch, but I'm very confident he'll get out of it because he seems to get out of slumps like this every single year.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing to bring up in regards to Michael Conforto is that, he's going to be a free agent this year. So this is a big point. And, now we're at the halfway mark. The halfway mark really, really shows what is this team going to look like? Can Michael Conforto be a different player in the second half. As we know, second halves and first halves for teams and specifically players have a big take. I was speaking with, Mets fan about Marcus Semien. Will he have a good second half? All stuff like that. So that's going to be the question for Michael Conforto, especially coming into a contract year. We know he is a Scott Boras client, who typically, I think he was clients Scherzer, Harper, and we all know Strasburg and Harper, and we all kind of know how those guys really approach their free agency. Sadly, Harper did leave, but they got, Strasburg, but it's a different, it's a whole different ball game in terms of these guys like that. So, so we did get a new member, Tony. If you want to introduce yourself quickly, give a little spiel. If you want to talk about Conforto quickly in terms of a slump.
Yeah, sure. What's up, guys? I'm Tony Metro, perpetually late. Apologize for that. But thanks for having me. Thank you for hosting, Hayden, and good to see you all. You guys can check out my YouTube channel. I just kind of restarted getting up and making some videos. Most recent 2 videos that I made was about top trade targets for the Mets at the trade deadline. And then just yesterday, I dropped a video just reviewing the Nike City Connect uniforms. Diamondbacks have some pretty good ones, but I think the White Sox definitely have number 1. As far as it goes with Conforto, hey, I don't have a whole lot to say. He's been awful this year. And Mets fan is going to give me some analytics that tells me I'm wrong, but he's been terrible this year, and that's all I got to say about the topic.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean,
2 home runs. I just checked. Like, his power is completely drained.
Conforto.
Yeah.
Well, listen, now we are going to get into another person who potentially, how I always talk about not having power, and that is Jeff McNeil, the walk-off hero from yesterday. Hopefully you guys did see my reaction of watching him yesterday. I was pumped. Believe it or not, Andrew had a more exciting reaction, as he claimed, than me, which I think is believable. I was just kind of shocked that it happened. I thought he was going to ground out, or just great way to get out of there. Hopefully he can get something going, but simply, I'll go first. Listen, Jeff McNeil, I was hoping he would be one of the faces of the Mets going ahead. Taking a look at him, he's the flying squirrel. He's acrobatic. He's a utility man. You could throw him anywhere. Now he has a comfortable position at second base, his natural position. I liked having him in Lindor turning double plays. Defensively, I think he's great. I think he is easily a top 4, top 5 second baseman in the league defensively. Call me nuts. You could put him to an extent almost near Colton Wong. But I think now taking a look at, and everyone's giving me faces now, I know, but now taking a look at McNeil, I think we live in a day and age of analytics and, the exit velo and, screw the exit velocity. McNeil, step up to the plate, take your time and level out the bat. And that's really what I think McNeil needs to do. I will say he's hopefully getting comfortable in terms of, in terms of stepping in the dish. I will say he's hitting the ball well. A lot of these are just unfortunately finding a glove or, going foul. He's hitting the ball well. It just comes back to his power. We all know in 2019, he slugged like 23, 24 home runs. So that's not insane power. But obviously we know later half in September, he did do something I think it was his rotator cuff, which obviously that's pretty common in terms of getting rid of power. So, listen, I'm not interested in McNeil having power. I don't think we need a power hitter. I just think his job is to be a second or third hitter and get an advanced Nimmo from first to third or whatever he could do. So, Mets fan, what are you thinking on McNeil, his slump? Give us the spiel.
I'm not really sure what's going on with Jeff. But he's the type of player that I never really have worries about. He continues to hit the ball harder than ever, and it finds a glove. I don't know what to tell you at this point. Does that mean he's been bad, Tony Metro? No, not at all. In fact, let's get analytical.
Analytical. We're getting it here, guys.
McNeil has issued a barrel rate at a career high this year regarding the small sample size, but he's beyond his original rate right now. So the hits are going to come for McNeil. It's what he does. He's Jeff McHits. Yeah, guess who also doesn't care?
The water.
No one wants to fill in the blank.
Water.
Okay. Water.
Your mom.
Oh.
Your mother. There you go. There we go. Thank you.
Great intel. Andrew, what are you thinking about Jeff McNeil? What do you think he's going to have ahead? Are you concerned with him?
I don't know what there's something I think there's a mixture of he's trying to hit for power, but he doesn't have to. He's trying to be the second half 2019 McNeil because he is hitting lower in the lineup. Like we said, I think in the beginning of the season, he's going to hit for power now because he's down in the lineup. I need that 2018 McNeil back. Like I saw the other day, he got late, flicked the ball to left field. Back to what he can do is just hit the ball the other way. They're shifting Jeff McNeil. Tell me 2 years ago that teams are shifting Jeff McNeil and he's not beating the shift with his bat control. I would have told you you're stupid. But again, it's just kind of the point of he will break out of this because Jeff did this last year. Started off slow and then got hot, just like Conforto. We all know Jeff is getting a couple hits in a row and then they come in bunches. So we just have to wait. Maybe the walk-off gets him going. But we all know, again, just like Conforto, he'll get hot, and when he gets hot, he'll just hit and hit and hit. And again, he is one of the best second basemen in the game because it is a weaker position, but his bat plays. You know it's in there somewhere. You know, we're just hoping that walk-off can wake it up.
Did Jeff play the second game?
I think he pitched and walked, didn't he?
Didn't.
He started at second.
He didn't.
Offensive production. There you go.
He was not in there. Tony, what are you feeling about Jeff McNeil? Are you concerned with him? How do you think his second half will go compared to his first half?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely concerned. He spent a good majority of this season on the injured list with his hamstring, and even before that, he really wasn't hitting too great. I know he started the season in a slump. He did get a little hot before he went on the injured list, and now since he's returned, he's been struggling again. He's been stepping in the bucket, kind of really, it seems like, trying to pull the ball into the seats in right field. And, I really loved Jeff McNeil since he came up in 2018 because he sprayed the ball everywhere. He went with where the pitch was thrown. It seems like he's a human foul ball machine. Like he just fouls off 20 pitches every at bat, ends up striking out. And I've said it even going back to last year, even though, when he was going well, going right, I wish he'd just be a little more selective about the pitches that he swings at and got himself into better counts. We all love that he can swing the bat and hit the ball almost anywhere where it's pitched. But I think it'd be beneficial to him and to the team if he was a little more patient, got into some better hitters counts, and ultimately was getting better pitches to hit when it matters most.
Yeah, very true. I will say that the pitch selective thing is definitely one thing that's very important. Obviously, and it's just crazy to think that if he could be this over 300 plus hitter in terms of batting average, and then you got Nimmo 1 or 2 spots away from him, that's just crazy to think about. Frank, what are we feeling about McNeil?
Yeah, I definitely lately am seeing Jeff pull off way too early, way too frequently. I mean, yesterday Jeff McNeil had a strikeout on a pitch right down the middle, and he was running down the first base line after he swung it. That's not McNeil. I mean, that is not what he's done his entire career. And even he had another at bat where he swung and he ran with the bat down the first base line. So I don't know why he is in such a rush after he swings it. He definitely is over swinging. He is not that 2018 McNeil or first half 2019 McNeil. I mean, that's what he does. I mean, what he could do as far as his bat to ball skills of hitting it the other way is elite. Not many players nowadays could do that. He's an old school player. And I would like to see him get back to that because that's not what he's here to do. He's not here to hit home runs. That's Alonso's job. That's Conforto's job. Even Lindor to an extent. I mean, McNeil is supposed to be that guy, the batting average guy. Like Tony said, fight off pitches. If you actually could do a lineup where you had Lindor actually performing and you had Nimmo at the top, McNeil at the top, it would create so many opportunities that despite how much the Mets struggle with run scoring position, when you have that many opportunities, you're bound to, by accident, get some of those runs home. So I think that we've seen McNeil struggle like this, like you guys said, in 2020, and he still ended up with a really good year, all things considered, in a 60-game season. So we will come, and I just think that this All-Star break is really important because of Jeff's mental makeup. He is so hard on himself, and I know that every time he messes up, he is like just his biggest critic. So I think that having all these days off will allow Jeff just to get that mental rest, get in the cage, not be, running down the first base line after he swings, and come second half, Jeff will be where he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Elias.
Yeah, a lot of it's been covered already. I agree with 100% with Frank about the running down the first baseline. It's a lot of the stuff that they do kind of in Japanese baseball he's been doing, but that's not the type of player he is. Dude, I miss the old Jeff. I mean, I know that's somewhere in him, but you used to hear him in interviews all the time, just talking about finding barrel on the ball and letting the ball find the grass without, not trying to hit home runs, hitting the ball, hitting where they ain't. That's my favorite thing that Jeff used to do, and he's not doing it right now. It's just I'm tired of seeing him go for home runs. It's not his role. If you want to hit home runs, great. Like, does he have if he hits 15 home runs a year and hits 320, I'd way prefer that than hitting 25 home runs and hitting 260. Like, Jeff's job is to get those hits, to be like that scrappy player is. He can play all over the place. I thought he would have a huge offensive year, not have to deal with playing a million positions. He has more of a set position this year. We've only seen him play second base this year, which is, he said, is his most comfortable position. So, I think he'll get back to it eventually, but I think the biggest thing is stop trying to run down the first baseline so much. Maybe he needs to talk with Patty Mazika like he did last year, because that seemed to fix the swing and whatnot. But mainly, I miss the old Jeff. I love when he rages, though. It's great.
Kirk's in the dugout.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I hope he takes this All-Star break to kind of reflect, like, hey, I need to be in that game. Like, I got to do better than this. And, part of it is being injured and whatnot. But, like, seeing Jeff in the All-Star game in 2019, seeing where he is now, it sucks, man. So I just think he needs to get back to his old style.
No, absolutely. I mean, those are all great points. Jeff McNeil, definitely, like you said, Elias, looking at him compared to 2019, I think it was just a year ago today, playing in the All-Star game, being mic'd up and listening to him compared to now, a lot's changed, but especially for him. Frank, I don't know. Did you have one more thing you wanted to add?
One more thing. The fact that the Mets are looking at Adam Frazier, I think, is really telling, because when you look at Adam Frazier's strengths and his position, it's identical to Jeff McNeil. And if you were to add Adam Frazier, you're most likely moving McNeil to third, where he has struggled a lot recently, and you're kind of just throwing it on him while he's struggling offensively. If he struggles defensively at third, I think that's going to hurt his offense even more, because, again, with the way Jeff is so hard on himself, if he's messing up offensively and then he starts messing up defensively because you brought in Adam Frazier, move McNeil to third, I think it would make things only worse. So I just think that, like, if Jeff gets it going, you have Adam Frazier pretty much. So I just don't think position-wise, player type-wise, I just don't think that works. I was very surprised that rumor came out today.
He's also going to play him for the next 7 games too. So that might, I don't know, maybe it'll tick him off and piss him off. I don't know. Maybe he'll do a little Noah Syndergaard at the trade deadline against the White Sox or whatever.
Well, I think in terms of picking up Adam Frazier, I don't want to get into it super much now, but I mean, he's also a utility guy. So you could throw him in left field.
And then where are you putting Dom Smith then? That's
the hottest hitter in the lineup right now.
Well, we'll get into that argument later. But Dom Smith,
like first base.
Elias, we'll go a different clock this time. Elias, what are we thinking about Dom Smith? I mean, looking at Dom Smith, we all know how I felt about Dom Smith. I mean, there's the clip. I mean, Elias knows pretty well. Simply enough, if you would ask me a month ago today, I'd say offensively, he's been dead. Defensively, a month ago, he had no leg mechanics. He had a weak arm, even though, give him credit, he's not an outfielder. He had no eye coordination with the ball. He was a terrible left fielder defensively, and then I guess in terms of the bat, he was really struggling. But so far, his defense has really picked up, and his offense has been great these last couple of days. So, Elias, what are we thinking about Dom Smith? Do you think it's a nice spree? Do you think it'll continue? Go at it.
Yeah, Dom Smith's a legit building block player on this team. And I was talking to people all offseason long. It's like, 60 games, we have a first baseman. Let's just get rid of him. Guys, the DH is going to come eventually next year, in my opinion. And I've been shocked at how, decent he is in left field this year. I don't want to keep him there full time, especially when the DH eventually comes. But he's been a lot better than expected. He made that, what was it, the grab into the stands yesterday? That was pretty sweet.
That was a good catch.
And he struggled really bad early in the year. Don't get me wrong, but he's got the tools. He hits the ball really hard. He has a lot of power to left field too, which is, we need any power we can get on this team right now. So hopefully Dom can start bringing that. But he's been hot recently. He's been, dare I say it, clutch recently. So yeah. I love Dom Smith. That's my guy. DH for the future, or first baseman, depending if you want to make Pete Alonso your DH. What's up?
Sorry, no, go ahead.
You're good. No worries. depending on who's probably the stronger defender. But I mean, hey, if in the future, if you need a left fielder for a game, Dom Smith, he's okay. He's not as bad as he was, and he's not JD Davis bad out there.
Yeah, Frank, what are we thinking about Dom Smith? Are you?
I'm liking what I'm seeing with Dom because he's the one guy that if there are runners on base, I feel like he has some kind of chance to get a hit. And I think that's, again, I go back to mental makeup. I think that when you look at Dom, he doesn't seem worried. If Dom messes up, he's not breaking things like McNeil does or breaking the bat like Alonso would. I just think that Dom has that composure to where, I mean, that's where their problems are coming. Like, you get on base, that's one thing, but then getting them in, Dom is just putting bat on ball. He's getting, like we say, the big hits. He's been hitting more home runs recently. So it definitely is very important, especially the spot in the lineup. He's saying they're batting him third every day. So it definitely is good to see. He has impressed me in left field, no doubt about it. I still can't believe he made that catch. That definitely was a bit of a surprise. But, for the majority of the year, he hasn't been as much of a liability as you really thought he would be. And they've gotten away with it so far. And I just like what I'm seeing. And then, once the DH comes in, he'll be in a much more natural role. So you'll get even better Dom Smith, in my opinion, because you're not even worried about defense. He could just focus on offense. So he's been really important to this team right now with how much all these other guys are struggling. It's really important that we have one guy that has been hitting well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping, hope we could see that 2020 glimpse of Dom. Tony, do you think we will see the 2020 glimpse of Dom?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen glimpses already, I think, but like we've seen glimpses of all of these guys, and it's getting frustrating. Like, I'm happy Dom Smith's doing well right now, but like last month we could have said that about, I don't know, Pete Alonso, or maybe before he went on the injury list, Jeff McNeil, or maybe for a short while Conforto, like Lindor himself as well. Like, we need these guys to have like a consistent streak, and it seems like not one of these big name offensive bats has had like a sustained 3-week or 1 month period where they've been hot. Like, yeah, Dom Smith has been hitting great lately, but his last night, look at it as bad, striking out with the bases loaded. Like, what, it would have been nice to see him do it again. And of course, like, it's not fair to say he didn't do it after having a good week before that. But that's my whole thing right now. It seems like none of these guys can get a sustained streak of like 3 weeks to a month of where they're just hitting the cover off the ball and carrying the team. Someone needs to step up and do that. No one's done it to this point. Could be Dom Smith, maybe it'll be Conforto, maybe Lindor or Pete, but someone's gonna have to do it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, clutch Dom. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm fine with the clutch Dom. I'm fine with the clutch Pete. I know some people don't know if clutch exists or not, but we're gonna go
all about the clutch around here.
Yeah, we're in favor of the clutch. Andrew, what are we thinking about Dom? Dummy boy.
Yeah, again, lately it's been hot. I mean, again, it seems like everybody we say, oh, he's very streaky. Oh, he's very streaky. We're seeing more of that 2020 Dom finally. We didn't see it at the beginning of the year. Comes up with some big hits against the Phillies, or against, didn't get the big hit against Alvarado. Besides the point, but again, he's played great in left field. Nobody thought he'd be any. We were just praying, just catch the balls that hit to you, and keep the balls in front of you. And Dom's played a really great left field. So, again, some more versatility. Again, yes, like Elias said, the DH is probably coming next year in the new CBA. So you can, take your pick. Do you want Alonso at first? You can move Dom back to first. You can add an outfielder. Or maybe if Dom continues to play well in the outfield, maybe we just keep Dom out there. Because he has improved so much that we're like, we can deal with him in left. Unlike JD when we had him out there, or Nemo in center. How everyone's like, we need to get Nemo out of center, or we need to get JD out of left. Dom has proven that he can play out there. I mean, maybe some of the way he catches the ball nonchalantly, drives me a little insane once in a while. But again, he's played well, and hopefully he can continue to be hot. And, he could be, and if he can get his little Bash brother photo taker guy warmed up, the guy I love so much. Maybe we can have a formidable 3-4-5 with Lindor as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you on that. Like you said, the 3-4-5 Mets offense. I mean, you got Nimmo in the first. You got Nimmo leading off, and if you keep Dom in that third spot, it's been doing well. Mets fan.
Real quick. Hold up, can I say one thing real quick? I think the reason he's been such a good defender is because Ahmed Rosario isn't playing shortstop, and they're not running into each other out there.
I still have the PTSD from the San Francisco series when they walked into each other. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's
in the past. This is the future.
Yeah.
+2 DRS in left field.
Go with that. Oh, we all know I love defensive run save. The Mets fan and Elias love defensive
DRS
is I love defensive run save. So
That's one thing about stats we can agree on.
Mets fan, you have
landmine.
What do you feel about Dom Smith?
Oh, I mean, a hot stretch. I mean, I knew that was going to come. I knew it was going to come. I mean, it was only a matter of time when. Believe me when I say that Dom Smith is the weirdest hitter on earth. But he's become like this precise tap hitting specialist. Every time when he gets a hit, it's always just typical Dom Smith hit. Typical Dom Smith hit every single time. It's like this little lacer in the left field. It's like it's just he's a weird guy. And the fact that he's so weird to watch at the plate just makes him so entertaining. And I'm glad he's finally catching fire. I love what I'm saying. I mean, he seems to finally been catching up to those off-speed pitches again. He was a tad earlier, a tad late, and he knew it. I mean, we all knew. But the man is red hot right now, so hopefully he can continue to build on that. I think, obviously, for everybody in this lineup, it's probably, maybe a little bit of a trial run for what you're going to get in the next half for this series against the Pirates, because, I mean, I don't know if anybody has a good analysis on the Pirates. They're not that good of a team. So maybe they can somewhat catch fire against them. I don't know. And I hope Dom Smith can build on that.
I want to add one more thing about Dom, and I think it's going to be particularly important next game. Tony talked about Dom struggling in the second game. Dom and Lindor have been Ironmen. I mean, they are playing just about every single game, playing both ends of the doubleheader. And I just think that it's really hard to keep these guys fresh and on top of their game, performing at their highest level. So if you're playing Dom in both games of doubleheader again on Saturday, I really feel like you're just wearing this guy down. I mean, that's just me. And I feel like, you know what, that's not really so much the Mets' fault. It's just unfortunate that every single game is becoming a doubleheader lately. I mean, you played a doubleheader, and now your next game is another doubleheader. So I just think that it's hard to almost evaluate anybody because, like McNeil, a lot of these guys, like good game, bad game, the whole team, in the first game of the doubleheader, you're scoring 10 runs against the Yankees. Then next game, you get shut down. So I just think evaluating this team is just so hard on a game-to-game basis.
I will just say in relation to that point is like I expect that from like the bullpen and the pitching and like your tax for starting pitching especially, but the hitters, I don't know, I feel like they should be able to carry that over to the next day, or the next game, especially when it's only 7-inning games. So I don't know if it's like a durability thing as much as it's just like this whole hitting philosophy is just maybe not.
When you have Corey Oswald on the mound, it kind of sucks the life out of the entire game. Let's be real.
But he only gave up 2 runs, right? 3 runs that game?
I mean, but he missed like he had a stretch where he missed like 15 pitches in a row, and he was killing me.
Yeah,
I hate Corey Oswald as much as any Mets fan. You know that, all right? Him, Chris Flex, and Anthony Recker, send them on a rocket ship to the moon. But,
Flex is balling right now.
The Fringe Squad.
John Mayberry Jr. as well. So
right.
Seawald has a 1-2-3.
Omar Quintanilla, like Robert Stock, he did his job last night. He gave up 2 runs in 4 innings. The Mets offense the bats were asleep. So I don't know. Is it a durability thing? Frank, yeah, you might be right. But I am honestly I don't think the offense has gotten all, going on full cylinders yet.
It might play into the 60 game
on anesthesia
last year. Like you didn't play as much with like 60 game season, so they're probably not conditioned to go 162 right now. But like, who knows? We don't know what's going on there.
We expected a lot coming into the season, knowing that this is the full season. We're going from 60 games. We know the starts and stops really killed guys. The injuries were a tremendous thing. That a lot of teams had to face and still are facing this season. So it's been a really tough year, simply enough, coming from a season, adding 102 more. So it's very complex with these guys. These athletes, they get very gentle sometimes, spring training, doing basic jogs, you somehow, crap, my hamstring, it's unfortunate, but sometimes that's the way life works. But simply enough, now we got some of the players out of the way that have been really striving. I think we have one more guy to add, and that is Brandon Nimmo. We know some people in this stream are very big on Brandon Nimmo. We know simply enough the Moneyball expression from Lean Oakland Athletics because he gets on base. Brandon Nimmo, I love the dude. You know, he doesn't have power. You know, he's not going to hit 30 home runs a year. I think he's completely underrated. I think he could have Hall of Fame stats that are more secretive and more, you know, not super common or make a big thing. But overall, I've been very impressed with Nimmo. The fact is he has great eye coordination at the plate. And he's swinging the bat more, which is something we've been very, very interested in. He's swinging the bat more. And I guess, obviously, yes, that could result in less walks or more strikeouts, whatever. But we saw his first game back, 3 hits, 3 base hits. And, you know, it's something I'll take. I love Nimmo. I think defensively, he's been better. I will say him playing more back towards the warning track could be an issue to come. I mean, that happened yesterday. He made a nice catch, but realistically, that should have been a typical routine fly ball. He was just playing too far back, so he has to run in. And then you have the communication issues there. So that's the only complaint I'll have with Nimmo. Otherwise, I think he's great. I think someone said before about Nimmo being in the All-Star game. I immediately think he could be in the All-Star game. So, yeah, I mean, simply enough, we'll go to the Brandon Nimmo lover. Andrew, what are you feeling about Brandon Nimmo? MVP Nimmo? That's what you're thinking?
He is the most valuable player on this roster, not named Jacob deGrom. The offense, with no Nimmo, I can go out and throw 7 shutout innings against that lineup. Then once Brandon Nimmo comes off the injured list, 8 runs and 10 runs in the Yankee series. They awaken once Nimmo is back in the lineup. And like Hayden said, back-to-back games in the first 2 games in the Yankee series, 2 RBIs, driving in big RBIs with runners in scoring position like he was doing before he got hurt. He is the most valuable offensive piece on this team. And yes, am I biased? 100%, and I will die on that tree. But again, he's a difference maker in this lineup. He gets on, walk, hit, HBP, it doesn't matter. He finds a way to get on. And hey, Lindor can do his stupid bunt, move him to second, or, you know, let's say Nimmo leads off with a double, bunt him to third, Dom brings him home. He creates offense at will, and he's, again, the most valuable position player on the Mets.
Of course. I have to agree with you on that. Elias, what are we thinking of Brandon Nimmo?
Dude, Nimmo's the best, man. He is so good. Now, there was a video from a little while ago from when I first started on YouTube that surfaced on Twitter the other day, me calling him extremely overrated. I 100% apologize for my actions, and will guarantee nothing like that will ever happen again.
And you're not
With
forgetting.
Don't do it ever again now.
With that being said, Nimmo is freaking awesome. Now, he needs to stay healthy, which that's kind of been a struggle with him in the past. But when he's on the field, he's the catalyst for this team's offense. He's the table setter. Like, they were on anesthesia without him. Like, it was nothing. Like, I haven't seen this many shutouts in a while, and we haven't even played that many games. Like, he is the reason we're playing better now. You know, we're still winning games, but that was mainly because of our pitching. He makes our offense somewhat competent, and his defense, it's not great, but it's not been terrible. You know, the whole offseason, I was, you know, slamming the table. Oh, get a real center fielder in here. We need a real center fielder. And would I still want to get a very quality defender at center field? Yes. But I think Nimmo is fine. And, you know, I would rather have a below average defender in center field who's a elite hitter than a, you know, below average hitter who's a great defender. So Nimmo's been unbelievable. You can't get this guy out, it seems like. And, you know, Nimmo's awesome. And once again, apologize. Nimmo is not overrated. I think he might be extremely underrated. So, yeah, Nimmo's
all right. So everyone, Elias apologized. No need to rip his head off and try to block him and all that great stuff. Frank, what are we feeling about Nimmo?
Yeah, what I find very interesting about Brandon is that he was off to a tremendous start, and then he gets hurt. But as soon as he comes back, he picks up right where he left off. You know, where these other guys like McNeil, Kapoor, they're still trying to get back into the swing of things. I mean, Nimmo, he picked up right where he left off, so that was really impressive. But we talk about his durability, and that diving catch he made yesterday led to an injury. That's why he was out of the lineup today. And it's just that, like, Nimmo has got to find a way to stay healthy. That's been his biggest problem. And you know what? Him playing center field, not his fault. That's just the way it is because of the way the team is constructed, which hopefully at the trade deadline or more important next offseason they could fix. There's solutions to do that. But I think that when you look at Brandon Nimmo, the kind of hustle that he has, you see him sprinting down to first base, He'll leg out a double. He's not standing there watching the ball go like some other players in the league would. And that kind of hustle, sometimes it could get you hurt. And that's what happened yesterday when he made that catch. So that is unfortunate. All he needs to do is stay healthy because we know what he's capable of. Just that elite on-base percentage. You know, very few guys, a handful of guys could get on base at the clip that he can. I mean, he's right up there with the best players in all of baseball. So, I mean, and that is not easy to do. I mean, his eye at the plate, not something you could teach. He's like one of a kind in that kind of regard. Him and Juan Soto, personally, guys that could take the kind of pitches he does and just give you quality at-bats every time. Even if he's not getting on base, just working the count, it could make an impact in the long term. If you're not playing 7-inning games, it can make a really big difference. So I think that Brandon Nimmo, hopefully this little scare with the diving catch is nothing big because he really is so important to this team. You cannot underestimate the value that he brings on a day-to-day basis.
No, absolutely. Tony, how are we feeling about Nimmo?
All I got to say is last night in the nightcap, no Nimmo, no runs, no coincidence.
Exactly. Or no, you never know. It could have been McNeil. No.
Could have been, but there's no doubt Nimmo's the spark plug of this offense. I don't have really any doubt about him in center field so far. That was one of my concerns coming into the season. They said they were going to play him further back, deeper, and it seems to work. I don't know what the defensive metrics show as far as his range and how well he's getting to balls, but from what I've seen, things have been looking really good defensively, and we all know he's going to be one of the best hitters in the league. Everything has been honestly at this point. I'm extending Nimmo for Conforto. So
I agree with you on that. So far,
Frank, how could you give me that face?
I agree with you. You're preaching to the choir. I mean,
I love it. Noise to my ears.
To be fair, you don't need to extend. When does Nimmo become a free agent?
I think Nimmo has 2023.
Dark, man.
Nimmo Trout. Yeah, let's go.
Look, you offer Nimmo a 4-year extension for $30 million, and that's enough to go buy a nice farm on his Wisconsin, wherever he's
Wyoming. Wyoming has farms.
Way more than that, but he's such a simple and just chill guy. I feel like
he'll take it. Yeah.
Boris isn't his agent, so you have to overpay. So
yep.
It's a good idea.
Boris isn't his agent.
Oh, no, it's not his agent. So that's in your advantage.
Dad.
Yeah, do it now before he's expired free agent. You get him at a better cost, which will help you long-term financial flexibility. I mean, it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
You never know. He could become more valuable. So wrap him up now. I mean, listen, they're still going to do it no matter what, but wrap it up now. Mets fans, did we get you with Nimmo or no?
You did not. There are farms in Wyoming. Okay,
you did. Mets fan, if you guys didn't know, he made a marvelous video on Brandon Nimmo. So check it out. But yeah, how are we feeling about Nimmo? I mean, I'm sure you.
Aiden, before you stole my line, why do we love Brandon Nimmo, people? Can somebody tell me? Because he gets on base. I mean,
who was that? Jonah Hill, right?
The point. Yeah, you got to the point for Moneyball. Though.
Jonah Hill.
He's completely ignited this offense. I mean, they were completely dead for so freaking long. We saw so many goose eggs on the scoreboard throughout, his entire time on the IL. And I think it's just showing how valuable he really is to this roster. I'm a little sad that I'm not seeing as many Nimmo walks, or shall I say sprints. But you just can't keep the man off the base pass right now. I mean, it's just all I ask is just stay healthy. That's it. Put some bubble wrap on him if you need to. Brandon Nimmo, Tony Gwynn can't spot the freaking difference at all.
Yeah, bubble wrap on that. That's one thing, and I know a lot of people were, that was one thing I heard people get a little mad about. Someone said rain past in Queens, not going to rain till 10. That's.
I'm sure it was.
I've never seen the Mets do that before. Listen, I live in Florida, so I can't tell you, but that would suck if they canceled it because of that. But I guess now getting into another member. I mean, speaking of unique players and how they get on base, let's talk about Francisco Lindor and him bunting. Bunting and, stealing bases are kind of one thing that's dying in baseball. In terms of the bunt, we really only see it through pitchers, not named Jacob deGrom, because, deGrom and Ohtani just go up there and mash. But we've been seeing a lot of more typical regular pitchers. We'll go with David Peterson or Marcus Stroman in this case. We'll see them lay out a bunt. Mainly, obviously, if there's a runner on with less than 2 outs. And we've been seeing Lindor bunt. He's probably bunted a fair share of times, this season. Obviously, there were runners on. You're not going to bunt with no one on. That'd be a little foolish. But we've seen Lindor bunt, and a lot of people were saying, even Gary, Keith, and Ron brought it up in the broadcast, should he be bunting? A lot of people are going at it. As long as he moves the runner over in certain situations, Lindor does have some speed. Yeah, but he's not Trey Turner or LeCastro. And then other people are all saying, you're getting paid $341 million, do more than get a little bunt and get it out and move someone over that a typical pitcher would do. Personally, I don't really have it depends on the situation, honestly. And I guess that's really the best thing I could go. I know it sounds like a vague and weak answer, but it really depends on the situation with Lindor bunting. If you have a runner, like if you're in the extra inning rules and you have a guy on second with 0 outs, bunt all you want. And it depends. I don't know who the third baseman is, or in this case, it'd be the first baseman, I guess, if he's going to third. But personally, it really depends on the situation. So, Mets fan, what are you feeling about bunting? Especially, how do you feel about Francisco Lindor bunting?
Okay, well, you might be surprised by my answer as the analytics guy. I have no problem with Lindor bunting. Like, I really don't. I don't understand why this got so much press. But, I'd rather have a player make a productive and smart out than just, take fly swats, like as my dad always says, the fly swatting. I don't care if he's making the league minimum. I don't care if he's making $300 million. If you have a way and you have an instinct of how you can help this team win, by all means, go ahead. I trust Lindor to make the right decision. You listen to so many of his former teammates of this guy talking about how Lindor's in-game IQ is just beyond the average player. I mean, man, it shows. I mean, what was the situation? You had Nimmo get off with a leadoff double against Brandon Woodruff, who was fooling guys all night so far, right? He even fooled Nimmo on that sawed swing. I mean, he dumped it to left field. So Lindor comes up, knowing that the hottest hitter in the lineup is right after him. He lays down a beautiful bunt, moves Nimmo over, and puts Woodruff in a desperate need of a strikeout. So Dom knows that he's going to get a fastball. He waits for it, and he drives it to center field. The tying run comes in on a sac fly. Listen, the analytics nerds have pretty much written off bunting. But one thing that we love is run creation. And Lindor did exactly that. So I have zero problem with Lindor's top-notch intangibles of the game being displayed on national television, or, in the World Series. He can bunt in the World Series if it's all I care at this point. I don't care. If that's smart to get a run in, go ahead. I don't care.
All right. So we got 2-0 with Nimmo, with Lindor being okay to bunt. Andrew, are you going to expand on that, or are you going to go against it?
Abolish the bunt in the new CBA. The DH comes, abolish the bunt. I don't care. This isn't the 70s where bunting was more important. I don't care. This with Lindor bunt, it drives me mental. You're supposed to be this great hitter. Just pull the ball to the right side. It's just as effective. And you have the power. You get a hold of one. You can get 2 runs instead of just getting the guy over. It drives me mental every time I see this guy bunt. Because the pitchers can't do it, so why is my superstar doing it? Because most of the Mets pitchers can't bunt, besides like David Peterson. That's the only guy who seems to get down the bunt. He can't pitch, but he can bunt. The bunting is just, unless it's in, like Hayden said, extra innings and you need to get that run home, okay. That for me is the only time. If it's the first inning and you're dropping down a bunt, no. Because he's done that 4 times already. In the first inning, Nimmo gets on, he drops a bunt. Enough. Unless he is so not confident in himself for pulling the ball, because he's been late on a lot of things and dribbling, that could be the only thing that, I know Rojas has said, that's all on him. He's confident enough. If he isn't confident enough to pull a baseball, to pull it to the right side if Nimmo's on second, to get him to third, there's something wrong with that. Again, it's a part of the game. Is it, to create the run, get Nimmo over to second or get him over to third, and then Dom can bring him in? Yes. But I don't want my superstar bunting.
All right, so we got 2-1. Tony, are you going to tie it up, or how are we feeling about the bunt with Lindor?
I mean, I'll say that him bunting in general is not my preference.
Okay.
You know, I don't want him bunting in the first inning necessarily, unless it's a 7-inning game and, you know, the situation calls for it. That being said, like I'm saying, you know, I don't have a problem with him doing it to move a runner over, you know, when we need a run. You know, we've seen, unfortunately, Lindor has not really been so great with the bat this year. So, you know, anything he could do to be productive. And personally, I love the bunt. I'm not saying I want to see it 2-3 times a game, but there are situations that call for it. And, you know, I'm a proponent of it. So, you know, again, I'd like Lindor to be hitting 350 right now and have 25 home runs, but he doesn't. He's hitting 220 and he has like 7 home runs. So, you know, he's a high IQ guy like we touched on. I mean, what a blessing it is watching this guy every day compared to Ahmed Rosario, who I don't even know if he realized he was playing baseball sometimes. So, you know, if Lindor wants to punt, I'm good with it.
Okay, Mets fans having a nice time over there. All right, so that's fair. Frank, how are you feeling about bunting?
Yeah, so I think, you know, generally speaking, like Tony said, you know, back in the day, bunting was very prevalent, things like that. But I agree that on the scenario, it's okay. But Lindor has 5 sacrifice bunts on the year and just has dropped down the bunt so many times. It worked in that one instance with Brandon Woodruff and the Brewers, but there are a lot of other times where he's bunting and it doesn't work. So I just think that far too many times the negative outweighs the positive with him bunting. And the reason why it's a problem, you know, to other people is the contract. 300+ million players don't bunt. I mean, Mookie Betts, Trout, Tatis, Machado, Bryce Harper, they don't bunt. You know, so it's just a bad look for that guy to be bunting. I understand he wants to help the team. I get that. If Rojas is willing to on the record publicly say he disagrees with that, that's a problem because Rojas is willing to lie if it means that he's with the players, agrees with the players. So I think it shows you just how much of a problem that it is. And if he does lack any kind of confidence, that's a huge problem too with how long he's going to be here. So, I mean, the only way Lindor is going to be able to drive in runs, hit home runs, is to swing the bat. Lindor is not going to get his average up. He's not going to get his power numbers up if he's laying down bunts. So, I mean, if you want to, you know, swing your way back into it, you have to swing the bat. So, personally, that one instance laying the game against Woodruff, okay, it worked. But I think that generally speaking, the concept of that particular player batting second in the order doing it, I'm not crazy about it.
All right. And lastly, Elias. Elias, I know you love to bunt when playing baseball, but tying it into the major leagues, how are you feeling about bunting with Francisco?
Well, in my softball league, bunting's not allowed, so I actually don't like bunting. But that's besides the point. My issue with bunting is a lot of times it's when it's done. Bunting in the first inning is just stupid. Now, if you want to bunt when it seems like whenever I want a player to bunt, they don't. Whenever I do not want them to bunt, they do it. Like if you're down by 1 in the bottom of the 9th, the stupid second base runner rule, whatever the hell it's called, bunt the guy over because you need 1 run to win it or 1 run to tie, whatever. My issue with bunting is that it rhymes with punt. It's basically just giving up. It's, oh, let's move this guy over and let's see what happens. Now, I'm a huge fan of bunting when it's bunting for a hit because the defense decides to leave a huge hole open and it's smart. It's my thing. Hit it where they ain't. Like with Matt Carpenter back in 2019, he got a bunt double because they left the whole right side or left side of the infield open. I want to see that. Whenever they go to the high angle and I see the whole side of the infield open, I'm like, bunt, get on. Like, but in the first inning, man, it's so bad. So I'm going to say I'm not in favor of it. I'm not, you know, as much as Andrew is not in favor. You know, he wants to abolish it from the game. I think there's a time and place for bunting, but 5 already for your superstar shortstop, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, and you know those are all valid points. I guess you could see the point where you know it comes to a point. I think it was Frank. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Frank that brought it up. You know, you don't see guys like Trout, Mookie Betts with these big decade-long contracts bunting. But you know, you can also make the argument a lot of those guys are, I mean, bigger dudes. They play different positions. I don't want to say the position necessarily has to do much with it, but I think Lindor has more athleticism. He has more speed. That's just one thing I just wanted to briefly bring up, but I understand both parts. You know, you look at it where, yes, the bunt, you know, it's not 1980 anymore. You know, the bunt, and the concept of stealing bases are definitely kind of dying out. And personally, stealing bases is a whole other category, which I think we all would really have a problem with. But I really think in terms of the bunts, I stated it before, just a brief spiel. It has its pros and cons. I understand if you're in extra innings, if you have a runner on second, especially with the second inning, with the extra inning rule with the runner on second, that makes sense. But I agree with what Tony and everyone else said. In the first inning, you shouldn't be bunting when the game has just started. Don't waste an at bat. So that's definitely fair. So moving on to other topics, the trade deadline is coming up. A lot of us have been making a lot of content in terms of who we're going to get at the trade deadline. Andrew, Tony, myself, we were all talking about who the Mets should get. Briefly to start off, I made a video about Kyle Gibson and why the Mets should pursue him, which actually got pretty well. I will also be uploading another video, a guy from the Orioles. So that's pretty interesting. I don't think many people are going to get that one, but it is not Miguel Castro, though, sadly, who we may have to talk about later today. But there's plenty of guys on the market. Pretty much, it's going to be interesting. New ownership. We're not going to be signing Robinson Chirinos and Todd Frazier. So it's going to be curious to see what Steve Cohen has in store
I hope
for this team, who they're going to sign, what they're going to approach. And also, this team hasn't played together for more than 3 weeks. So, what pinpoint can you locate? I mean, can you say outfield is the issue? Could you say offense? Could you say defense, bullpen pitching? What is the issue? Personally, I think you can never have enough starting pitching. And I think in terms of looking at teams that are going to be selling, the Rockies, the Rangers, believe it or not, the Twins. I think there's many guys out there. I know Barrios was a name. Kyle Gibson was a name who I think is probably in Cy Young contention right now. I'd love Kyle Gibson on the Mets. Hopefully he could transition that to New York, though. There's plenty of other options, obviously. So you have pitcher, which is probably the one I would probably focus on the most in terms of questioning with Syndergaard and Carrasco, obviously. And then you have third base, which, the fort's been held down nice by VR, by Guillorme, but it's going to come to a point when Davis comes back. Is Davis your long-term third baseman for the year, especially getting into the playoffs? And we know how defense is in playoffs. I know Elise is shaking his head. You guys don't seem too happy about that, which, it's understandable. But simply enough, what are we feeling about the deadline, the trade deadline? Should it be aggressive? Who are we going to go after? All right. Who do you think the Mets should go after at the trade deadline?
Well, I don't want to spoil. This is a future video. I'm going to make one too about some trade deadline targets. But I think that just in theory, there's 2 areas I want to see the Mets address. Number one is the 5th starter. So I don't need the Mets to go all out to get the Barrios or get the big-time starting pitcher and give up a bunch of prospects, because they don't need that right now. You have DeGrom, you got Taijuan Walker, you have Marcus Stroman. Eventually, David Pearson, who knows? But Carrasco is finally progressing. I was unsure if we were ever going to see Carrasco because it was setback after setback after setback. All of a sudden, he's progressing to progressing. So it looks like Carrasco should be back. All you need is one. You don't even really need one more starting pitcher for the playoffs, but just to get through the year, not have a loss every 5th day. No more Corey Oswald, no more Robert Stock, no more Jared Eichhoff. So you got to get no one crazy, but someone of that ilk. Then as far as offense, there are a few guys that stand out, but third base is the position. I mean, as much as you'd like an upgrade catcher, that's not realistic. First base, not happening. Second base, I don't see happening. Shortstop is definitely not happening. And then as far as the outfield, not this year. I think that right now they're going to roll with the Dom, Conforto, and Smith, and Nimmo mix. So I think that right now it's third base and it's starting pitcher. And with the way Castro's pitching lately, probably another bullpen arm. You could probably get two low-level starters, a mid-bullpen guy, and maybe a little bit of an upgrade at third base. That should be the blueprint. Don't go crazy. Don't go trading away Mauricio. Don't go trading away Beatty. Just, you're in first place right now. You just need a little bit of upgrades. You could really make a complete team.
Yeah. And listen, the prospects, and the draft is coming up too. So that, that's going to be something interesting to see how the Mets approach that. And, I agree with you, the farm system, you want to hold on to some guys, but I feel, you also got to let some guys go, obviously. But yeah, great points. Elias, how are we feeling?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys I want. I'd love to get another starting pitcher in here. You can never have enough bullpen arms too. I'll give out some names in a sec. But I want to talk about the third base. I'd love to upgrade it, but honestly, I don't see the talent that's on the market. I don't want Chris Bryant for the sole reason that another guy you have to deal with at the end of the season, going into free agency, you're going to have a million guys you have to pay. You can't pay all of them. I don't want to give up a million prospects, and it's going to take a lot. The Cubs have the leverage. It's going to take a lot to get him because there's going to be a lot of teams in mind that say, hey, we want Alvarez. You say you don't. Okay, cool. We'll trade him to Atlanta or another team like that.
Right.
Donaldson, honestly, less and less now, just that contract and his age. I'm not crazy about him. I know people want Barrios very badly. I honestly don't. I'd rather have someone who's, a little bit, maybe of a lower ceiling, but a bit of a higher floor than him. A guy I really like is Sonny Gray. Now, obviously, there's a funky story that came out about him last night. So hopefully he can keep that up and pitch well at the Mets. I know the concerns about, him being with the Yankees before, but Sonny Gray's a great pitcher. He's had a lot of success in Cincinnati, which is a very tough park to pitch in. Another Cincinnati Red. One of my viewers actually recommended Amir Garrett. Just get another lefty in here. Also, Jose Alvarado doesn't stand a chance. He'll fuck him up. Or Amir Garrett will fuck him up. Him and Dom. It'll be fun. So that could good. Kendall Rigman from the Mariners. You can only look at teams with that suck because the good teams aren't going to sell off their own players. So those are a few. I have a list right here. I covered on my show a bit, but Richard Rodriguez from the Pirates. Another option, just starting pitching bullpen. You can never have enough on. I see Tony agrees. But third base, I honestly don't see much of it. I think you can continue with VR, Guillorme, and maybe Davis if he stops tap dancing and holding the ball up here for 5 seconds. So we'll see how it goes, man. But I hope we do make an aggressive move this year.
Of course. Tony, what are you feeling about the deadline? What position do you think should be approached? If you want, and you guys don't have to give names. I know if some of us have been waiting to upload for content, you could just give positions. That also works.
Yeah, I made that video, and the 10 people on that list, I think a lot of them have been mentioned. Kyle Gibson was one. Adam Frazier, Richard Rodriguez from the Pirates, and I know there was one other guy we talked about before. You guys should check out that video to see the rest of that list. But at this point, honestly, I think we need a right-handed bat. We definitely need pitching, and I definitely think we need some bullpen help as well. But I think the most pressing need is getting a right-handed bat that you could put in the everyday lineup. These guys just simply aren't performing. We're midway through the year, and I know the year's been weird between since opening day. Got canceled the whole 3-game series with the Nationals, and ever since we've had a rain out, it seems, every single week. So it's hard for the hitters to get in their rhythm, but I definitely think we need to get a bat. I don't really have a specific name. Obviously, one that is like popping out to my mind is Trevor Story, but I don't see that happening because I don't see him moving off of shortstop. And I'd love to see him at third base, but I don't think that would happen or work out. Chris Bryant, maybe, now the Cubs have lost 11 of 12 games. They're falling out of contention fast. So I don't know, maybe I'd love to see an everyday third baseman brought in here, and relegate Jonathan VR to the bench, who's been great, but think about how much greater it would be to have that as a weapon, to come in off the bench.
For sure. Andrew, what are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the positions have been said, but I say the Mets need to have a 2015 trade deadline. I mean that is this. They need to add another high leverage reliever because Miguel Castro has faltered. So you need to get another guy in that back end. Doesn't have to be a 9th inning, 8th inning guy, but a 7th inning guy you can put up and you believe in and trust not to walk the ballpark, throw strikes, and get outs. You can add some depth because every good team adds depth. We could say, oh, we don't need this. Look at the Padres. You bulk up. You get Mitch Moreland type. You need a bench bat. You really don't have a number one righty killer on the bench. That's been something we've brought up. Pilar has kind of been that lefty guy. You go against the lefties. Here comes Kevin Pilar. Could you potentially upgrade that position? Who knows? And the right-handed bat, obviously, the Cespedes S move. That right-handed bat. I think we're kind of overrating the Bryant value. Obviously, as Tony said, the Cubs were right in it. They weren't going to trade him. They've lost 11 of the last 14. They have fallen back under 500 and out of the race. Well, I think they were like 7 games out of behind the Brewers. The Reds have jumped them as well. The Cardinals not far behind. But Bryant, and you all know Sandy. Look at the Cespedes deal. Sandy's going to sit back. He's going to wait till that final 2 minutes. He's not going to give up Alvarez. He's not going to give up. If it might cost some, I don't think the value of Bryant. We're all thinking, oh, they asked for Alvarez because they had all the leverage. They didn't have to move him in the offseason. So they can go, hey, I want Alvarez. If they continue to fall, and at the deadline, 5 minutes till, Sandy calls him and says, hey, we'll give you Vientos and a couple of two bottom 25 prospects for Bryant with 2 minutes left of the deal. Who knows the Cubs don't say, you know what, they get scared and say, nobody's offering anything, and who can say that move? And pitching-wise, I said this in my last video about it. God, I would love to see Giovanni Gallegos as a Met. The Cardinals continue to fall. That is probably their most valuable arm in their bullpen. Yes, they have Alex Reyes, who's the all-star. But Giovanni Gallegos is probably one of the most underrated relievers. You look at his past 3 years, nobody talks about him because he's in St. Louis, and he's not the closer. He's either the 7th inning guy, he's the 8th inning guy. That is my dream scenario. If the Cardinals continue to fall, as I watch every day, they continue to fall, Giovanni Gallegos could be everyone like Rich Rodriguez, Kendall Graveman. Giovanni Gallegos is the guy if I'm adding anyone. It's going to cost more because he has a ton of years of control left. There's no reason for the Cardinals to move him. But if the Mets offer the package, that's the guy I want.
All right. So we're talking some Mets-Cardinals action. And Mets fan, how are you feeling about the deadline? Who do you want?
Here's how I see it. I have nothing. I'm going to tell you right now. I've thought of absolutely nothing at the trade deadline. I guess my main is pitching. You can never have enough pitching. I mean, I have no clue. I've looked at like nothing in the trade deadline right now. So I think I'm just going to tap out of this one. I guess here pitching. So get I don't know, Chris Sale. There you go. Whatever.
Chris Sale.
Yeah, sure. Top 3 pitcher when healthy, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, I can see
All
that.
right, that's fair. God. Tommy John recovery, Chris Sale. That's fair. So now transitioning into, because as we know, the All-Star break is coming up, which we are all very excited for. Mets are typically a second half team is what we've seen, especially in 2019 when they had that huge run in the second half, the walk-offs, obtaining Stroman at the deadline. A lot of stuff happened. The morale went up for this team, the hype, the fans, it was awesome. I remember it. I was watching the games, happy for the second half. But getting into the second half, certain players are hopefully going to be expected to start to wake up. Yes, we were talking about a lot of these guys were injured, so they didn't get much time to play in the first half. But my question is for you guys is what player do you think is going to have a huge second half? And this could obviously, I guess, really just consist of, really anyone. If one guy like Alonso, who's playing pretty solid, if you want to move him up more and so he'll explode, you can. If you want to say Nimmo, you can. If you want to say McNeil, if Davis comes back, you can. Personally, I think in terms of anything, I think Carrasco may, when he comes back, I could see him having a nice little return, coming back from injuries and then having his first full season coming back from cancer. So that'll be, kind of nice. I'm sure he'll get plenty of ovations, kind of like with Trey Mancini from the Baltimore Orioles. But overall, I'm hoping to see a guy like Jeff McNeil really wake up. I said it before, this first half, he's a completely different guy. In 2019, he was the guy who would stand up in the batter's box and just slap the ball anyway, not strike out. And now, as I stated, I just feel he's a casualty of the exit velocity, and he hits it well. It just finds a glove. So I'm hoping McNeil could learn to pull the ball more the other way, start swinging at more appropriate pitches and not get to his head. We always see him, in 2020, we always heard him, screaming a ton of crap and dropping F-bombs and stuff. But I'm going to go Jeff McNeil. I think he'll have a big second half offensively, of course. Mets fan, who do we have?
All right, well, I got two. First one is Dom Smith. All right. I'm starting to see 2019 to 2020 Dom a little bit more every day. And I think he's going to be big down the stretch for us. I think, and I've become very confident these last few weeks with him at the plate. He's looked very good. Second one, Pete Alonso. Alonso has been silently destroying the baseball this year, and that it does correspond a little bit with Dom Smith as that lefty righty power threat. Okay. If we can have those two guys producing in the big bulk of our lineup, we're going to be in really good shape, and we're going to be very good down the stretch of the season.
All right. So Dom Smith and Alonso, your takes. I agree with you on that. And especially, now bringing into the potential of the juiced ball coming back. We know typically during the All-Star break in 2018 and 2019 is when Manfred kind of messed up the balls, whether they were juiced or dead. So the question is, Spider Attack is out of the picture now, but we're still seeing some offenses still struggle, and, some balls, get hit well, the exit velo, warning track goes down. So that's going to be another thing to take into consideration too, is especially with Pete Alonso, he could mash these dead balls. I mean, we see some balls that he's destroying. They go to the wall, and these look gone off the bat. I've seen it with Conforto. That McCann one, we all watched it yesterday. I think Andrew pointed it out. That one looked gone off the bat, and that just went down straight to I think it was a left fielder. So that's something, too, that I think is going to be taken into consideration, hopefully. Did I ask Andrew? Okay, Andrew, who do you think will have a good second half?
Come on, did you not know who I am? I'm obviously picking Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is going to have a Shohei Ohtani first half in the second half. 30-plus homers, like Mets fan has said. He's hitting the ball hard. And that, again, like Hayden said, the juice balls are coming. Manfred is pissed off. Well, let me phrase that. He sees the fans are pissed.
Call those dingers, okay, Andrew?
He's going to hit 30 big old dingers, and at least 6 of them are going to come up in clutch moments. Ooh. And he's going to get himself, ending the season with 45 homers, into the National League MVP conversation. And propelling this team to run away with the National League East.
Hot take, man. Hot.
Dear Lord.
You better put the fan on, man.
He apologized for what he did to your dog or something?
We don't talk about that.
No, we don't talk about that. Okay. Yeah, that's an off-stream conversation.
All right, Tony.
No, he's not signed for me yet. This is pure me being nice today.
All right, so Andrew is going to forgive Pete Alonso for not signing his baseball. Tony, who think is going to have a good second half?
I'm going with Francisco Lindor. This is kind of like chalk, but you know what, man? Like, he's kind of shown some signs of life, and I hope it happens. It's got to happen. So I'm going to go with Lindor. I think he's going to come around, and he's going to have a hot month. And I think by the end of this year, we're going to look at his numbers. And we're going to say, all right, they're not too far off from his typical career numbers. Maybe not as good, but they're not terribly far off. And we'll just have to chalk it up to, an adjustment period in his first year with the Mets.
All right. Is that everyone? Did we get?
No, you didn't get it yet.
Elias and I have not gone yet.
All right. Elias, give me who do you think is going to have a good second half?
Well, Tony took my guy, but I'm going Lindor all the way.
Lindor?
He's going to have a spring training-esque month, and he's just going to be unstoppable. And another guy we didn't cover at the trade deadline, when we reunite him with his old teammate, Jose Ramirez, at the deadline, that'll motivate him, and he's going to have an amazing, amazing second half. Lindor, baby. Woo!
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
Frank, fire away.
I'm going to go with my guy, Jeff McNeil. I just think that McNeil is too good to struggle like this. I mean, since the guy came up, since the day he was here, all he's done is hit every single year. So I just think that it's bound to happen. I mean, he's just too good to not. And you know what? It's not like he was on another team and got to the Mets and sucked. No, he came up as a Met, has done it as a Met. So there's no excuse. As long as his head is right, Jeff McNeil is going to get hits. He's Jeff McHits. So I really think that McNeil's going to have a big second half.
I like that. I like that nickname. All right. So, yeah, I mean, the second half, it's really going to be interesting just to see what comes up. Like I said, the dead ball, I think, is going to play a big effect on a lot of guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. And there's some guys that have been doing well against it. I mean, Shohei Ohtani has, 32, 33 dingers against it. I mean, I could only imagine if this was a juice ball, would he have 10 more to that category? So that's crazy. We know Chris Davis in 2013 had, I think it was 37, I believe, before the All-Star break. And Shohei Ohtani is, I think, like 5 or 6 away from that. So it's unlikely, but it could be a possibility he gets to that. I think there's 3 or 4 more games left for the Angels. So I don't know. That'll be something to see ahead.
Here, let me add something to the resurgence of Francisco Lindor real quick.
Sure.
Let me let you know where we're at right now. The average WOBA is 313 in the league right now. He currently went up to 300 last night. He's up to 300, right? If we can get him to 310 by the All-Star break, which I think is possible, the resurgence will come. Don't worry, it's coming. It's right on schedule. Get ready.
All right. So pretty much, I don't know what he said, but he said some random stat that nobody knows nor cares about that will help Francisco Lindor. Sounds good.
Do you watch my videos, sir?
I do watch your videos all the time. Trust me. Pretty much your videos are Lindor's WXPA is 1% higher than this. But after the game,
dude, of course, we all watch your videos because you never post any
of
of them.
Everyone watches.
They're pretty easy.
Only hit dingers.
Yeah, well, he's going to. Don't worry.
Spring training Lindor.
You're not a good player. That's my analogy. Okay. So getting that off our chest, the NL East. So as I stated before, the New York Mets are first place in the NL East. Obviously, I'm going to say this, and people are not going to like this. If the New York Mets were in another division, if they were in the AL East or if they were in the Central or the West, we probably wouldn't be a first place team. I'm just going to point that out there. I think our division is helping us. The Nationals, the Braves, the Phillies, and Marlins are under 500. The Nationals are 1 game from 500 and 4 games back from us. So as we know, it's Mets, Nationals, Braves, Phillies, Marlins. Do you guys think these standings will, they're going to change a little bit? Do you think they'll change drastically? How are we thinking on the standings for the NL East? I'm probably going to go listen. I'm sure it's going to change a bit. Will the Mets remain in first place till October 3rd or whenever the season ends? They could not. You never know. They could be tied up with the Nationals 2 weeks from now, or they could be in second place in 3 weeks from now. You never know. Baseball, that's what makes it great. It's a race. I love the second half because it makes it a race. Sometimes it comes down to the last game. Sometimes you have game 163 in order to shuffle out the standings. And now it's pretty likely with the NL West, with the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres really playing well, it is likely both wild card teams will come out of the NL West. So it's going to come to a point where the Central and the East for the National League are going to have to really battle it out because, 2015, it was relatively close, I believe, with the Mets and Nationals, if I recall. I think it was at least a 5 or so game difference. Look at 2017 with the Dodgers, D-backs, and Rockies. That was like a game or two apart. So this is really something to take into consideration. Personally, I don't think the standings are going to change drastically. But yeah, Mets fan, what are we thinking about the NL East? Do you think it's going to change? Do you think the Mets will stay in first place? What are we thinking?
No, at all. I mean, every team in that division barely scares me. I'm going to tell you right now, they're all under 500, first of all. I mean, I know how much I love win-loss record. So they're all under 500. But, all it takes really is just one small push. And this team is going to take that division, no problem. They just got to keep on winning. That's it. And maybe a series before and a series after with the Pirates can maybe jolt them to greatness. I don't know.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the Pirates are not the best of teams. Hopefully we can get to them. Andrew, what are we thinking about the NL East standings?
Well, I don't know if I can top what I just said about Alonso, but I'm going to try. I went on Elias's channel last night on his great stream, and I had Elias fired up. Like I said, the second half is going to be the polar bear takeover, meaning the Mets will go in. I'm saying it at the break. At minimum, we're going to go into the break at a 6-game lead, and then that second half, they've beaten. Like I tweeted it out. I didn't want to be the guy that puts their faith in his team, but I tweeted out yesterday after that walk-off. I believe this team is one of the elite teams in the National League. Yeah. They've played well against the Padres. They obviously haven't played the Giants and the Dodgers. Those are the other tests. The Brewers, they went out and won the 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee. I'm not scared of anybody else in the NL Central. And we've taken care of, besides the Marlins, of course, it's the Marlins in division. We've taken care of who we needed to take care of. So I think this division lead is solid. It's not comfortable yet, but I do think they will run away with this division. and hide in September. They're not going to pull a 2007. They're going to have a big enough lead for 2008 and 2007 nightmares not to happen again. They will run and hide with this division. Mark my words.
I've chest pain after you said those years.
As long as the Phillies are dead, it's okay. Who cares?
Listen, that's what makes baseball exciting. Tony, how are we feeling about the NL East? Change. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know that saying, you can't pick your family. You can't pick your division either. It's not the Mets' fault that they play in the NL East. And you know what? It's not the Yankees' fault that they get to play the Orioles 18 times a year and take advantage of that. I'm just saying, maybe the NL East doesn't have any other teams with a winning record, but they also don't have any teams that are tanking, like the Orioles or like the whoever's in the AL Central. I haven't looked at the Tigers,
Royals,
the
the
NL
Twins.
West, the
Twins are
Rockies. So you know what? There's no walk in the park in the NL East. I mean, again, none of them have a winning division, but even the Marlins in last place are a pretty decent team that you can't just show up and expect to win against. So the Mets are the only ones in the NL East with a winning record. They have had a ridiculously truncated and weird season with all of the delays and the COVID to start the season. So I'm not apologizing to anybody for that. I think it's sustainable, but they've got to get on some track of normalcy in the second half. And unfortunately, weather is out of their control. Hopefully there won't be as many delays and double headers in the second half. And then again, with injuries, we've seen so many injuries. Hopefully that's just luck. Hopefully the Mets run into good luck and their guys get healthy and we don't see too many more injuries down the stretch. Those are the only two things that I think could deter the Mets from winning the NL East at this point.
All right. Is that everyone?
No, you didn't ask me yet.
Damn, Elias. I keep forgetting you. Elias, fire away.
Yeah, I think the Mets are gonna stay in first place. I don't think the standings are gonna change too much. I could see Atlanta maybe, but they've been completely bamboozled by injuries and legal troubles and stuff like that. They've lost a lot of their guys. Soroka's done for the year. Obviously, Osuna, Pache wasn't what they thought they were gonna get this year. So the Phillies. They're going to be terrible this month. I'm going to see it coming. I think they're not going to. That bullpen is just bad.
Frauds.
And, the Marlins, I think, would finish better than you expect. That rotation is going to be scary in a few years, but with Sixto Sanchez out, I think they're done. Nationals have never had any trust in because the offense just simply isn't good. Josh Bell, guys like that. I told you he wasn't going to be good, but he hasn't been good. I really think the Mets. Fortunately, we played. I guess they're going to start calling it the NL Least, but at least unlike the
Mickey Mouse
NFC,
division,
the NFC Least, we actually have a good team in this division. So I think the Mets will win the division. They kind of have to if they want to make the playoffs, because I think Dodgers, Padres, and Giants are all making the playoffs. So there's your two wild card teams. So Mets first place, playoff team, book it.
Absolutely. Second half, it's going to be great. I'm sure a lot's going to change. Things change in a 2-week span. Remember when, teams like the Orioles, the Royals were doing well when the season started, and everyone's saying, "Oh, they're a playoff team." Things took care of itself pretty quickly. I don't know if you guys wanted to get into this now, but talking about much in the future for the Mets, what do we think that the Mets are going to look like in 5 years? I'll tell you this, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, so it's probably going to be difficult to try to pull this together. But in terms of this, you could think about it in any ways in terms of if you want to put it in a roster point of view. Will they have a World Series under their belt? What will they look like? Will management be different in terms of contracts? And we'll play it that way. So, Elias, what are we thinking the Mets will look like in 5 years from now?
Well, yeah, 5 years from now, I just thought about where I'm going to be at, but I don't want to even think about it. That's crazy, man. But
hopefully you're not in prison. That's all.
Yeah, 5 years from now, I think DeGrom will remain a Met. I think Pete Alonso, Lindor, and Brandon Nimmo will still be Mets. I'll guarantee you that. I think Brett Beatty will be our third baseman. I think there's a good shot Jeff McNeil will stay our second baseman, and I think we'll have maybe Pete Crow Armstrong. It's so crazy because you have the prospects, but you can also have guys, from other teams that might be on the Mets. It's crazy to think. I think the big prospects that'll be making an impact are, Beatty, Alvarez, and Pete Crow Armstrong. Maybe even one of the pitching guys like JT Ginn or Matthew Allen. Of course, we can draft guys, acquire prospects another way. I think there'll be a decent amount of turnaround from what this team is looking like now. But I think our core will be kind of similar because this team's young. Obviously, you can't pay everyone, so everyone's going to hit free agency eventually. But we have a lot of young players. Even Dom Smith didn't even mention him. He's probably still on the team in 5 years. I didn't check everyone's spot rack and see like when they become free agents. Like I said, you can't pay everybody, but I think this team is going to remain somewhat similar. I don't think we're going to go through any crazy rebuilding periods anymore with Cohen being willing to actually spend money. I'll guarantee you Lindor is going to be here. That's the only guarantee I can give you.
Okay.
But I think this roster will remain fairly similar.
Fair enough. Andrew, what are we thinking the Mets will look like in 5 years from now?
Well, again, this is a hypothetical, and when I first did it, I had a little more fun than I did, and I got a little more realistic, as we say.
Okay.
Obviously, we believe Francisco Alvarez will be here at catcher in 5 years, hopefully, maybe sooner. If he keeps hitting dingers in Brooklyn with Beatty, who knows? Maybe they're here tomorrow. Who knows? World we don't live in.
I'm going to the game tomorrow. Don't be here tomorrow.
Call him up.
Better
Call him
we'll put it out there.
Again, first base, I'm playing as a DH, but I am going to put Brett Beatty at first base. As much as we all think he is the third baseman of the future, he's going to be shifting the first, meaning who's going to be the DH. Ronnie Mauricio, I got him at second because I'm not going blockbuster trades. I just did strictly free agent moves. If I was going to add anybody, which we'll get to the outfield, we get a little fun, a little spicy. But I do see Mauricio moving to second base. That switch hitting bat, I don't want to move it. And I move McNeil to third because, again, he's older and he's not going to have the range that he will. He'll be at 34 5 years from now. So just shift him over to third base. Yes, he's terrible defensively now. God knows what it's going to look like.
Mauricio at third base.
He's fast. I want the old man on the corner. McNeil's going to be old back then. So we move the old man to the corner and the speed and the athleticism. Obviously, like we said, Lindor is the only guarantee he'll be here 5 years from now. I didn't have Nimmo here, but I went and I said I have to have Nimmo in my lineup. I can't get rid of Nimmo like that. But Nimmo's in left. PCA is in center field. And now here we go. Fantasy realistic. Juan Soto's playing right field.
Juan Soto's
Michael Conforto walks. They bring in some stopgap, and then a year from then, the Nationals don't pay Soto. Juan Soto's a Met. I had to have some kind of fun. Wow. And then obviously Pete Alonso is playing DH. And then I only threw to a couple guys in the rotation, DeGrom, Allen, and Ginn, just to have a little more fun. I mean, I could have went crazy. I had Buxton and Ketel Marte playing left field and second base, but, I decided let's get a little more realistic. Let's not make this a whole clown question, but, yeah, that's my little fun 5-minute rant.
Man, I got to go more in depth with that. Maybe I'll make that a segment on my show because I should have put more thought into it.
Harper and Soto. But hopefully, listen, Andrew, hopefully Alonso will have a signed ball for you in 5 years.
I wanted to trade him for a bag of balls, but I thought I had to be nice and I had to keep him on the roster. You guys would have hated me if I would have got rid of him for like a grilled cheese and a steak sandwich.
Hey,
but I see
good grilled cheese.
Keep Alonso with the DH.
Hold up, wait. What are you doing with my boy Don?
Bench. I could have put him in left, but Nimmo again. I had Buxton in left field, so I had to throw somebody back in the outfield. So or trade Chip. Maybe add a pitcher.
All right. Tony, how are we feeling about the Mets in 5 years?
All right. In 5 years, I'm going to give you 3 bold predictions. I'm not touching the money as far as World Series, but the first prediction is Zach Scott is still the GM. I think he's going to have a Steinbrenner-like tenure with this Mets front office. I've been pretty impressed with what he's done so far and the way he speaks. Jacob deGrom will have 4 Cy Youngs under his belt.
Okay.
And Matthew Allen will be his protege, as Walker Buehler was to Clayton Kershaw. So they'll pitch in the same rotation by 2025. And very similar to Andrews, Aaron Judge is going to be playing right field for the Mets. They're going to sign him after the 2022 season.
Yeah, we all don't want Conforto back, I'm guessing. We were just like, we'll get a right fielder. Conforto will let him walk.
You see, Aaron Judge doesn't get cold. He just doesn't play. So he's either hot when he's good or he's injured. So it's perfect.
True. Well, hey, by that time, he's a free agent after next year, if I read that correctly. So, he'll still be relatively young. I think the Yankees are going to lock him up, honestly. But if he doesn't, then the Mets should definitely be looking to get him at least for next year. Let Conforto walk, put a stopgap out there in right field for the time being, and then, hopefully get after Judge. But, that's a lot of pieces have to fall into place for all that to happen.
We should make our own judges' chambers at Citi Field just to rub it into the Yankee fans.
If he comes, we are not doing any of that. That is the cheesiest stuff. And you got John Sterling's home run call. So bad. Dude, John Sterling's home run call is so cringy. Here comes the judge.
I think, honestly, my favorite one is Gio Urshela, the most happy fella. That was pretty interesting. But, Frank.
I like him better muted.
What are we thinking about the Mets in 5 years?
Yeah, so in 5 years, Francisco Alvarez obviously is going to be the catcher, but he's also going to just have like a major impact on a day-to-day basis, not so much defensively, but at the plate. This guy is really going to make some things happen. The fact that already at his age, he is hitting nukes. As soon as he started the minor leagues, I mean, this guy, I just can't wait for him to get here. I really can't. But I think that looking at what Steve Cohen said, knowing how Sandy Alderson is, I agree that this team is going to look mostly the same and that they're not going to, let their guys walk per se. I do believe that the Alonso McNeil will stay. I think that unless something crazy happens at the deadline, which I don't see happening, I think Conforto will end up staying. I just don't see him I look at, if I really take it to heart what they said, like we want to be the Dodgers, we want to keep our guys, homegrown guys. I think that we will see the Nemo, but I think that a couple guys are leaving. JD Davis will not be here in 5 years. Dom Smith, I feel like he's the odd man out unless he's willing to take a significant pay cut, which he has no reason to. He could get a much better contract elsewhere. I just think that when you look at these guys, I mean, but there will be one blockbuster in. That's my bridge. There will be one star in there. I don't know who that star is, but eventually they have got to figure out what they're going to do with the Beatty, Mauricio, Vientos combination. So those guys are going to be involved in some kind of trade. And I think that the Mets have another big, maybe $300 million plus contract under, that another one of those will happen. And I don't think it's going to be to a homegrown guy. I think it will be external. Who that is, I don't know, but those would be my predictions.
Good takes. And Mets fan, what are we thinking the Mets will look like in 5 years? I'm sure there's going to be 20 million more analytical stats that I don't know. It'll help.
I think mine's like the least amount of crazy, but I got a little luxury in there. But I mean, we'll see. All right. So my starting rotation, you have
is your luxury, right?
Austin Hedges is the starting catcher, first baseman, and Johnny Bench is among us. Okay. Obviously, you have Jacob deGrom in the one spot. That's pretty easy. And I'm going to go with Syndergaard as well. I think he wants to be here. And I'm also going to put Stroman there as well. 1, 2, 3. I don't think this team is going to be scared to go over the luxury tax in these next 5 years. Matthew Allen, JT Ginn are my two other ones. And then I'm going to go to the bullpen. The bullpen, I have Lugo. Obviously, I still have Lugo here. Might be like his final year. I don't know. Maybe they might do a little bit of a short-term extension. I have Reed Foley. I don't know, but we'll see. I have Drew Smith, even though nobody believes in him for some reason. I have Yennsy Diaz, whose stuff is freaking electric, and once it completely gets tapped in, it's going to be awesome. Miguel Castro, I still have.
No!
Oh,
Miguel Castro, he has no spider. Well, no.
I knew it was coming.
I have Miguel Castro still here. I still believe in him. He's still young. He's got a lot of potential. I have Tylor McGill in the bullpen as a possible.
You haven't said your
as a possible long relief guy. Wait.
That's what it is.
Wait. Then I have a guy who has been going through the farm and throws complete gas. Bryce Montes de Oca. Okay. This guy's going to be good. Trust me. And then the closer is no other than the top 3 reliever, Edwin
Josh Hader.
Diaz.
Yes, Josh Hader.
Or what? Jesus. Besides Lugo and Diaz.
All right.
The bullpen's worse than it is now.
Yeah, doubt it.
I'm gonna add one person.
Doubt it. Yeah,
Hold up. I want to add two people.
The doubters are there. It's all right. Doubters are there.
Can I add
all
two
right.
things to mine?
Fire
James
away.
McCann will be back as a coach.
Fun.
He's very knowledgeable. He will be like an assistant.
And your mother will
coach
be back as a coach as well.
And
all right.
Back in our rotation, our first round pick from this year, the one and only Kumar Rocker, starting pitcher from Vanderbilt.
Nice. Okay. All right. So here's my lineup. All right. I have my lineup and then I got my bench. All right. We gotta spread this out. Catching, Francisco Alvarez. There's not a doubt this guy is gonna be a freaking star. First base, you have Pete Alonso. He's earned that position. I don't care if anybody says that Dom Smith is better there. Second base, I got McNeil. Shortstop, this one was hard. Francisco Lindor. Third base was my luxury. I got to reunite him with his friend, Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
Left field, I have Brandon Nimmo. Center field, I have Pete Crow Armstrong. Right field, I have the one and only Michael Conforto. And at DH, I have Brett Beatty. And then my bench, I got Guillorme still sticking around. I got Mark Vientos. I got Mauricio, and I got Khalil Lee.
All right. Those are some pretty good takes. Yeah.
Prospect hugger.
I mean,
hell yeah.
I have a lot of belief in your prospects, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, looking at the Mets in 5 years is, I mean, I can't even.
Down.
Scary, to be honest, man.
I mean, if you were to tell me in 2016, what would this team look like? I mean, dating back to the 2015 World Series, the only guys we really had was DeGrom, Syndergaard, Familia, and Conforto. A lot of these guys were new. I feel that we've been seeing a lot of prospects spend, smaller times in the farm system. I mean, Garrett Crochet, pitcher from the White Sox, was drafted. 3 months later, he's called up throwing 100 miles per hour.
He never even went to the minor leagues. There was no season that year.
So I mean, I think that really shows how much these guys are getting called up sooner. I mean, obviously, in terms of catcher, I don't think James McCann's contract will be over, and I don't think they will be resigning him. I'm sure that's music to most people's ears. I could obviously see Pete Alonso still playing first base. I could see McNeil at second. Shortstop is Lindor for the next 10 years. So if you want to advance to 10, third base, I really don't know. It's tough. I mean, so many guys. I mean, if there could be a Chris Bryant, if we get Donaldson, he's 35, 36, so he won't even be there anymore. So I mean, I could say maybe a guy like Bryant maybe would be a nice pickup. You never know. Or, maybe a guy like Beatty. I mean, I'm sure we'll call up Brett Beatty. I don't think Mauricio will be a third baseman. I think he will be traded away. And potentially Vientos could be more of a bench guy at that time. In terms of outfield, I could see Nimmo. I could see him probably in left field. Center field, I could definitely see Pete Crow Armstrong. And in terms of right field, who knows? Maybe they'll pick someone up. But I think Conforto definitely is going to have a nice little comeback. Hopefully, maybe he could still be there with this team. So yeah, those are honestly all great. I will say, looking at this team in 5 years is really something to question. But that is that. I know some of you guys obliterated the comment sections with questions, as well as we do have some that filled out. So yeah, Mets fan, if you want to do the honors in doing that.
I do have a few questions here.
Yeah, you just put them in the chat, and I will go over them. But I mean, quickly, I'll scope through, see if there's any questions.
Some of y'all are trolls, dear Lord.
What the hell did you expect, honestly?
Lord.
Getting
like that.
into it. If anyone does want to leave a comment or anything like that, in terms of a question, just brief question, nothing too long. Just a 30-second answer would be something that would be appreciative. So I guess starting up first, we will go with when Jacob deGrom pitches, who would you want to be his catcher, Tomas Nido or James McCann? And I guess, we'll try to leave it as short so we get to all of them and preserve time. So Elias, who do you have for that? Who would you want catching for deGrom, Nido or McCann?
Whoever's bat is hot.
Who's ever okay.
We don't need the defense with deGrom.
You're talking about offense.
He'll frame himself.
Sorry, Mike wasn't
Andrew,
muted.
what are we? Who are we thinking for that?
The walk machine, James McCann.
All right, Tony, what are we thinking?
Yeah, defense doesn't really matter with deGrom, so whoever's bat is hot. I'm with you guys.
All right, Frank.
Yeah, McCann. Save Nitto for Stroman and Robert Stock. They need the help framing much more than he does.
Fair enough. And here's going to be the rally killer. Mets fan, who is your
Nito.
captain? Yep.
Moving on. Next question.
And I am going to go against that, and I am going to go McCann.
You know what? Just to piss you off, man, I'm gonna go McCann as well.
It's awesome, man. You're kidding.
All righty.
Elite.
I told you he's elite.
So
How many
elite.
homers does Alonso finish with? I'm assuming this season, obviously. I'm going to go 40. I'm going to go 42. I said 42 when the season started. I'm still going to say it. I feel the dead ball. He's really going to start to obliterate that. Elias, how many home runs do you think Alonso's going with?
I think preseason I said 44. I'm gonna go 39. I think he's gonna have a huge month, but he's got a lot of time. He doesn't have a ton of time to make it all up. He's been disappointing a bit, so I'll go 39.
All right, Andrew. How many home runs do you think Alonso will hit?
I mean, I said it earlier. 45. He's gonna hit 30 in the second half.
45. All right, Tony.
I'm gonna say 37. What does he have? 15 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean he can still have a solid season. He's hitting into all gaps. He's hitting for a little bit of average now. He's been more patient drawing walks. So even if he only hits 37, it still could be a very productive year for him.
Okay, Frank.
I'm gonna say 36. I would say more, but he hasn't been hitting them at Citi Field. So because of that, I'll just stay low at 36.
All right, and Mets fan, how many homers will Pete finish with?
Is 85 enough? 85?
I had a feeling
90.
It's never been done.
All right, I'll go with even 40, I guess. I don't know. On the pace, the expected pace of metrics.
Okay, those are good picks. What is your favorite Mets moment that you were alive for? I was born in 2002, so I more started getting into baseball when I was in kindergarten, so that would have been 2005, 2006. So that was definitely a year for the Mets. Believe it or not, I mean, I was young, so I said a ton of crap, but I was one of those people. I mean, my dad was a Yankees fan, so I had the A-Rod jersey and all that stuff. So I went to Yankees games and claimed I was a Yankees fan, but of course, as I got older and knew that the Mets were a good team, obviously, 2006 coming off of a big year, I got into them. But what was the question? What was your favorite moment? Well, physically that I saw with my own eyes was Jacob deGrom, 2019 Players Weekend, him strike out 9 batters in a row.
Looked like shit while doing it with those stupid jerseys.
Yeah, and he hit a home run, so that also was pretty interesting. Overall, that I haven't seen, whether it's TV or whatever, I'd probably say the Pete Alonso 53 home run was pretty cool. The Johan Santana was obviously very cool. Elias, what was your favorite moment?
Yeah, so I've been a fan for a bit, but I haven't been a complete fanatic for that long. So I'll go when Pete hit 53. It's a tie between that and when David Wright played his last game. He's my favorite player of all time.
You took mine, man.
It was tremendous seeing him getting the ovation he deserves.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, I've got 2 from each of my favorite players. Recently, I got to go with Brandon Nimmo's bat flip in Philadelphia. The guy who never shows off anything, flipping off Brandon Workman. That is iconic. And for Beltran is just a random walk-off. He hit like a 2 a.m. off the Phillies. That's just, just personal reasons.
All right, Tony.
Yeah, so I mean, I've shared with you guys a few times, like personally, like my personal favorite Mets moments, like nice glasses, Frank. This bat behind me was thrown on the dugout at Shea Stadium. It's from Moises Alou. So that was really cool. And then I think most of you guys know I caught this home run ball.
No, of course, I knew it.
Who'd you catch it off?
I hit this home run, and you could see the SMY scoreboard, and my buddies there celebrating.
Nice.
That's the personal moments, but like as far as like Mets fans moments where we all know about it, I was at both of the games when Wilmer Flores was pulled and was crying, and then 2 days later when he hit the walk-off home run. And of course,
the second one has been stolen from me.
And earlier that day, obviously the Mets traded for Cespedes. I just remember refreshing Twitter for 4 hours, and finally at the last minute they trade for Cespedes. I get on the subway, go to the game, and Flores hits the walk-off home run 2 days after the not trade. So,
all right, Frank.
Well, I could say the 69 World Series. I could say the 86 World Series. But I mean, I wasn't there in person, but just the one moment that will always stand out to me so far that like I don't know, it just like melts my heart is the David Wright, Daniel Murphy hug when they clinched against the Cincinnati Reds. Those two guys had been through all the crappy years that we saw, and just the embrace that they had. Oh my God, chills every time I think of it.
I do remember that. And Mets fan.
On his
All
fourth
right, well,
off.
I've had 2 stolen from me, but you know what? It's fine because I'm gonna be the one to say it. When the Lord and Savior bought the New York Mets, Steve Cohen. I mean, it's just the relief. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just like literally, we were just ready. Like, fuck the Wilpon, get him out of here. It was enough. It was just torture even selling the team. It took so freaking long. It was such a relief. And it's just like, you know what? A new era is here, and we're living in it, baby. We're living in it.
Can we give our worst moment, kind of inspired by Mets fans last video?
God.
I know mine.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's open the can of worms. Let's do it.
Start.
Fire away.
This was brought up a lot in your video, man, when Diaz gave up that home run to Kurt Suzuki in National Park. The night before my sophomore year of high school, I didn't want anyone to talk to me for a few days after that.
All right, Andrew.
I guess I got to bring up the Justin Upton game, don't I? San Diego, Familia comes in. Goddamn Derek Norris, who had to go 5 for 5. It's a bloop single. Matt Kemp hits a single. Familia needs 1 out. They call a rain delay, and damn Justin Upton, like the first pitch after the rain delay, 3-run homer, and the Padres win. And the 5 nights of Flushing has been on SNY 1,000 times, so we all have to relive that for a occasion.
All right. Tony.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get the list out. Like, rolled all the way down the floor. Oh, my God. So many brutal losses in this team's history. The one I talked about was in Mets fans video was I was at the game when Chase Utley broke Tejada's leg. So that sucked to watch in person. I would say overall it has to be 2007, Tom Glavine giving up 7 runs in the first inning. I was at a baseball game of my own, and I remember looking on my little flip phone and going on the web browser, and it was like, 7-0 first inning, Florida. And I was like, no, that must have been a different game. There's something wrong. Let me refresh. And then I did, and I was like, I didn't break my phone, but I came close. And just to know that it's over, it's done. It's the most epic collapse in the history of baseball. That was absolutely brutal.
Frank.
Yeah, my mind is so obvious, but 2006, just everything about it, the way it happened, who it was, and what was like the icing on the cake was the way the Cardinals steamrolled the Tigers. It's like that could have been us. That would have been the World Series we won. So that I'm still not over that. The 06, the ending, horrible. On an 0-2 count, not 3-2 count, it's an 0-2 count.
0-2 count.
Freaking annoying nerds.
Dear Lord.
All right.
Oh, man.
Mets fan, now that leaves the boat for you. What was your least favorite Mets moment?
Every time that David Wright got injured, I'd say. It was so painful. I mean, it was just a guy who it could not have happened to a nicer guy. And I mean, it just sucked when you didn't have the captain on the field. I mean, that's just how it really felt. And then when he finally retired, obviously we talked about his final game, but I mean, it's basically just passing the torch to the next generation of Mets. That's kind of how it was. I mean, you had Dom Smith coming up and Pete Alonso and, Jacob deGrom pretty much got the torch pretty much passed completely down to him. And I mean, just David Wright's entire career, I'd say, would be a sad moment. I mean, it sucks. His entire career. I mean, it's a what if, obviously, but it stings how it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
I was in the building when Matt Cain hit him in the head. I was sitting in the prominent level on left field, and I have never been to a ball game where the whole ballpark was silent. I could have just talked like a normal voice, and the infield would have heard him. It was brutal.
It's just.
Overall mine, I mean, there's so many. I mean, you guys know my rages, so I pretty much get pissed off of like a foul ball error that was dropped. But one that kind of stands out to me was I believe it was Game 5 of the 2015 World Series with Eric Hosmer running from third base to home from the ground ball that was scooped by David Wright, which should have been handled by Flores, which pretty much won the game, sadly. So that's probably it with me. But there's plenty tough picks out there.
Can we do a happy question? Jeez, I'm so sad.
You have a pretty happy question, but
My fault. I brought it up.
Yeah, it's your fault, Elias.
Oh, it's Elias's fault. Yeah, I honestly, I think we should just always have that one person to blame, and I think Elias can be it
easily.
Oh,
yeah.
Gee, thanks, man.
Yeah, anytime, brother. But otherwise, we had a great stream, everyone. I want to appreciate everyone for tuning in. The clock is approaching 2 hours, so we had a great stream. Sadly, the Pittsburgh Pirates game and Mets game was postponed. I know everyone's asked me in the chat, is it going to be a doubleheader? I couldn't tell you. It probably
Saturday at 4 o'clock.
Saturday, 4 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock for the other one.
Probably.
Okay.
Yay.
You know what? The
Baseball to
doubleheader
watch. Sweet.
are something we are going to see a lot. So yeah, I guess if you guys want to plug in your channels one more time before we take off, starting with Elias.
Yep. Elias run a show called Big Apple Baseball Banter every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call into my show. Love talking baseball with you guys. Bring your takes, good or bad or awful. Want to hear them. Big Apple Baseball Banter. And Hayden, appreciate you doing this, man, like always.
Anytime. So we'll check Elias out. Let's get him to 100 subs. He's almost there. Andrew.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Adam Frazier video should be coming up after the stream sometime, maybe like 10 o'clock. I'll probably try to get that out. Also, a lot of like GM stuff, trade chips. I'll have a ideal trade deadline video hopefully coming out this week of what I hope the Mets will do that Zach Scott and Sandy does. Always a pleasure to talk about this team. And Hayden, great job hosting this week.
Appreciate it. Tony.
What's up, guys? Tony Metro. Do a little bit of everything. Try to focus it on the Mets, but actually after this stream is over, I'm going to be working on my new video, The Yankees Must Fire Aaron Boone. So check that one out. Going to give the Yankee fans a little bit of a jab. I'm sure they'll love that.
Frank.
Yep. Frank about sports, space in between each word. Cover mostly Mets, but I would like to cover other things. And the second half resurgence is coming. I've been posting a lot lately, but I really want to try to get it up and running next week, hopefully. As long as editing software and everything is, in sync, then we're ready to rock and roll.
And Mets fan.
All right, well, I'm Mets fan. I do nerd shit, right? That's what we say, right? All that fake stuff, the fake numbers. Recently just uploaded a video about the killers of the Mets franchise featuring two of the guys to my left here, Tony Metro and Frank About Sports. I also can catch me on some live streams doing power rankings with my guys, Hayward Stan, another analytics guy, kind of in a monthly rotation. Let's go Mets, man. Just let's go Mets. Let's just beat up on the Pirates, get to the All-Star break, and just chill out and see Alonso hit some dingers in the Derby.
And can we get a final whiteboard?
Absolutely. And he has his, what does that say? Clutch is real, metrics are fake. Okay, we're going to end the stream.
That's a great way to end it.
I like that. Logan, I pinned your comments so long, I probably can't even unpin it at this rate. So congratulations to you.
Get a Venmo $5 for the show advertisement.
Funny. Someone asked me this before. I kind of do want to answer it. I forgot who it was, but they were, it was YouTube Productions. They asked me thoughts about Aaron Boone, and if he should be fired. And all I'm going to say is with Aaron Boone and Kevin Cashman, just remember, Kevin Cashman,
Brian Cashman.
I keep thinking of freaking the Rays. Never mind. Just remember, Brian Cashman, the Caillou bald guy, he let Adam Ottavino and Garrett Richards go on the 5 rule so that they could resign Brett Noodle Arm Gardner. Just remember that. Just keep that in story. That sounds like a Wilpons thing right there. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya.